I've tried to push that day out of my mind, but it still won't leave me. In the north of Canada, in a small town whose name no longer even appears on maps, there's a building buried in the middle of the forest. According to official records, it opened in 1915 as a care home for orphaned and abandoned children. But when you talk to the locals, nobody calls it an orphanage. They just call it that place. They don't even want to say its name, because what happened there is chilling. So I went after that silence. For months, I researched, dug through old newspaper clippings, talked to the oldest residents of the town, and finally, last month, I found the courage to go inside that building. According to the records, the orphanage was founded on the medical thinking of its era. Back then, some institutions saw orphaned children as expendable to society. Practices that would never have been done to a child with a family were tested on these children. Officially carried out under the names of behavioral therapy and health observation, these practices were, in reality, largely undocumented, unsupervised, and carried out without anyone ever being held accountable. From 1915 to 1927, over the course of 12 years, hundreds of children passed through this building. But in the state archives, most of these children don't even have names. Birth records are incomplete, death records even more so. It's as if some of these children never existed at all. In 1927, the building was suddenly shut down. The official reason given was insufficient funding. But one of the oldest residents of the town told me, it wasn't the funding. One night, everything just stopped, and after that, nobody ever sent a child there again. By the time I reached the building, the sun was about to set. In the middle of the forest, I came upon a 2-story stone structure surrounded by rotted wooden doors and rusted iron railings. Most of the windows were broken, part of the roof had caved in. But what was strange was this: even though the building had been abandoned for over 100 years, most of the things inside were still exactly where they'd been left. As if someone had suddenly walked away one night and left everything behind. The first thing I noticed when I stepped into the main hallway was the smell. Damp, rotted wood, and underneath it, a metallic smell I couldn't quite place. When I swept my flashlight across the walls, I could still make out numbers. Every room had a number on its door, but no name. The children had been given numbers instead of names. At the end of the hallway, I came to a section different from the others, with a steel door. The door was half open. The moment I stepped inside, I understood that this room was different from the rest. A faded sign still hung on the wall, the barely legible letters spelling out observation and treatment room. In the middle of the room stood a table made of wood and metal, fitted with straps. The straps had rotted, but they were still there. Beside the table was a shelf holding rusted instruments whose purpose I couldn't fully make out. Some looked like surgical tools, others looked more like instruments of torture restraints, straps, strange metal frames. In one corner of the wall, I noticed small scratched markings, clearly written by a child's hand. The words weren't clear, but some of the letters were still legible. Not a name, just a number, repeated. 14. Over and over, carved into every inch of that wall. 14, 14, 14. Just then, I heard a sound behind me. The creak of wood. I turned around, there was no one there, but my flashlight flickered, as if the battery were dying, and yet I'd just put in a fresh one. I knew from the building's layout that there was a basement, but it took time to find the entrance. Eventually, behind the kitchen, under a pile of debris, I found a hatch, half hidden from view. The stairs were narrow, damp, and the wood creaked with every step. In the basement were rows of small cells, each maybe a square meter wide. The doors still had small iron bolts, the kind that lock from the outside. I'd learned during my research that these rooms had been used to isolate the children, but actually seeing them, standing there, was an entirely different feeling. On the wall of the very last cell, unlike the others, there were countless scratch marks, deep, methodical, as if someone had clawed at that same spot for hours, for days. And just beneath it, an old stain, long since turned brown. That's when I heard a rustling sound behind me, and this time I was certain it wasn't my imagination. When I swung my flashlight around, I thought I saw a shadow at the end of the corridor. A small shadow, the size of a child. A second later, it was gone. My heart felt like it was about to leap out of my chest. That's when I decided I couldn't stay any longer. I practically ran up the stairs. When I reached the main door, I turned around one more time to look back, and this time I thought I saw a figure watching me from a broken window on the upper floor. But I didn't have time to take a photo. I got out that fast. By the time I got in the car, my hands were shaking. That night, at the hotel, going through the photos I'd taken, I noticed something in one of the shots from the observation room. A shape standing behind me, right next to the table with the straps. There had been no one there when I took the photo. Even now, I hesitate to look at that picture. The next day, back in town, one of the locals asked me, "Did you go inside?" When I nodded, his face went pale. "How far in did you get? Which room?" he asked. "Room 14, I said, remembering the number carved into the wall. The man stepped back without saying another word and never spoke to me again. I later learned that, according to local legend, there was a child known only as 14 at the orphanage. Unlike the other children, he was the one the most experiments were carried out on. And the story goes that the night before the place was shut down, he vanished from his isolation cell. He was never found again. I'm never going back to that building. Some places deserve to keep their past locked inside them, and some doors are meant to stay closed for a reason. But what do you think? Do you think that building is still hiding something real, or was it all just my mind playing tricks on me? Tell me in the comments. And if this story sent a chill down your spine, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because I'll keep telling stories from all around the world about places just like this one, forgotten, abandoned, and still holding on to something.